Hey, beautiful people. Thank you for joining us on Where's the Love?
I didn't know
I'm one of the hosts.
I didn't have my stuff on. I wasn't ready. Hey, we
She
in here.
wasn't
We in
ready. She
here.
wasn't ready.
What's it? I started talking and then I was like, hey, where am I at? I wasn't plugged in.
Yeah.
So what's happening, y'all? Welcome to Where is the Love? Where I am the host. We are both hosts. I am Stephanie Hawken Hall.
And I am Adisa Karanja Malik, a.k.a. Gene Williams.
All
Either
right.
way, I'm the same
Go
person. Either way, I'm the same person. Just different energy now.
All right, we in here, y'all. Y'all should be either watching us on our YouTube channel or watching us on LinkedIn, Stephanie Terrell Hawken Hall. Trying to remember which. I think I just put Stephanie Hawken Hall on there. Or watch us on TV. Get on TV. Watch, sit, chill, relax. Watch us on Roku, Amazon Fire. All you got to do is search POD space LIVE, and you can watch us live on TV only while we're airing this show. Oh, girl.
The YouTube pages.
Oh, you go ahead with the YouTube pages. I'm sorry.
Love Misunderstood Institute at YouTube, or Premier Fitness 0210. So same, and you can go there and catch the archives, and replay it from after we do it, or watch it live. Either way, we in there. You know what I mean? We all in, right? We all in. We in there.
We's in there. Okay, on LinkedIn, I'm Stephanie Hawken Hall. I'm only Stephanie Terrell Hawken Hall on Facebook because that's where people know me personally. Professionally, I am Stephanie Hawken Hall. So that's where I am with the professional group of people. All right. So Mark said we rerun during the week too. Okay. That's true. So you can catch us during the week when they do the rerun. And then he said on Roku. And they don't have the times yet for those replays, for the reruns. Yeah. But here we are. We have been talking about shadow work, something very, very important to help you heal. We are on a healing journey. We are focused on healing because of the damage done in our lives, to our lives, whether we did it or whether somebody else did it to us, where our focus is not on that. Our focus is on healing and getting better. We do not want to be bitter. We do not want to be resentful. We do not want to be, harboring unforgiveness. We don't want none of that. There's generations of that, not only in our family, but in many families. And we have decided we are taking the baton and we're running away from this so that we can create generations of love
and healing,
of peace, healing. That's our focus. So you want to say something before?
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, with this work that we're doing, with this show, again, like, we are both on a constant journey to explore healing. And so a book that came up this week for me is The Body Keeps the Score. And what that's exploring is how, like, post traumatic stress disorder, like how it shows up in the body. So, like, you can think that you're not thinking about it in the moment, but then something triggers a reaction from you.
Yes.
And it's in your cell memory, like your cells, your DNA remembers past trauma.
Yes.
And so in those spaces, like this is a thing that again is programmed into your DNA, into your cell memory, and it takes conscious work, conscious effort to unplug and not react from the fight, flight, or what is it? The when you disconnect and you're kind of like you're
Fight
stopped.
or flight.
Fight, flight. There's a third one.
Okay.
Fight, flight, or it's along the lines of like you get stuck there. So you're literally stuck. You don't know. You won't move. You may go into a fetus position. You know.
Oh.
Right. I can't remember that term, but yeah. So yeah, it's all a process of first off, a lot of times like a lot of what we're doing is not in the now. You're triggered by something that happened in the past, and it triggers a certain reaction. And again, it's usually fight, flight, or
That's
immobility.
okay.
Yeah. I just you can't figure out what to do.
Yeah.
So you just go into a fetal position where you pull back and just can't do anything. You can't fight or flight.
Yeah.
It's like you stuck.
Yeah.
And you just kind of get into the corner and just, you're stuck in that space and you don't know what to do.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's kind of what that book talks about. And then also it breaks down how to process and realize that, hey, I am going through this thing. There's trauma, and it shows up in times that I don't expect it. And then they give you the tools to help you push through that space to realize what's holding you back, what's causing you to fight, what's causing you to flight, what's causing you to be immobile. And then during the process to take inventory, which is what we talk about a lot of times, taking inventory of your emotions and realizing this is what I feel. There's a certain thing that reminds me of something else 9 times out of 10 that either causes me to want to fight, want to run away, or just collapse and don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's how trauma shows up for people. Those are the 3 main. And I mean, there's obviously different representations of how other people how people react to the things that they're feeling. But those are the basic. Those are the basic ones. And it's just important to be aware. Self-awareness is the biggest thing. Being aware of where you are at any particular time, and then realizing that you have the tools, or learning the tools to get yourself to circumnavigate
out of that situation.
Right. Exactly. Right. Yep. I say. Yeah. So. Yeah. So I mean that's where we are, and I mean for the last May 9th. Okay, so we're almost in June. So it's like been the last 3 weeks for me. I mean,
Son, today is June 1st.
June 1st, right. So I'm thinking about May 9th was the day that I did it was May 7th through the 9th that we did the Inward Journey.
So it was on the 9th. You were
right. Right.
No, it was on the.
You're right.
It was on the 11th. It was on the. That Friday was the 9th.
Right. So that's when I got there.
Okay.
May 9th for me.
Okay.
So yeah. And it was through the 12th was the end of, the 12th was the end. So anyway, the point of it all is that, you have to come to terms with where you are in your journey, and then realize that you got your crap. We all got our crap. We all
Exactly.
got it. We all
Yes,
got it.
absolutely. And ain't nobody immune to it.
None.
We
Not
all
one.
got stuff.
And we
So
come here with it.
go
We
ahead.
come here. We come here with our crap. Even
Yep.
on a spiritual level, we come here with our crap. We come here with our karmic lessons. It's something that we're supposed to learn when we come here, and we come here with that. So
Because of genetics
genetics,
and generational
right,
stuff
right,
that's brought down, DNA. Wow. That just hit me like that when you just said that.
yeah. And I mean, and, if you want to go further and talk about like reincarnation, which that's a different thing. But it's like you lived a life of many lives, and there's lessons that you have not learned. So
Yeah.
you come here to learn those lessons, so that you don't necessarily have to repeat the same lessons over and over again. So that's multiple lives that you can live that stuff. And if you don't learn, then you're doomed to repeat it. So the term is, if you don't know history, you're doomed to repeat it. And that's what we do even with multiple lives.
Yeah.
And in the current life we live, if you don't pay attention to like what our ancestors went through, those who came before you, if you don't pay attention to that, you're doomed to repeat those same cycles. I mean, I can go into like, Black Wall Street and how we had everything that we needed in our own communities.
Yeah.
And then we allowed, well, it wasn't an allowance. It was more like they across the train tracks, literally.
Yeah.
And then they came into our neighborhoods and they wanted to fight us because they wanted what we had, because they were
Yep.
struggling and we were thriving. We were thriving because we came together as a collective. And then and we realized that they realized that they're doing something different that we're not doing. We're struggling, they're thriving. So we need to stop them from doing what they're doing. We're going to take over and commandeer what they're doing. And then when they got the pushback from our people, who look like us, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Then they called in the military and they bombed
Yeah.
that community. And I mean, this is multiple communities across time. So I'm gonna keep that short. But yeah, but when you realize who you are and you establish a certain thing and you begin to use certain tools, you be like, you know what? I realize this is pain. This is generational trauma that I'm experiencing. Then I get to unload it, unpack it as an individual because I realize what's going on now.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware. I'm
Right.
self-aware.
Yep.
I realize my trauma has been passed on, like you said, from multiple generations.
Yep.
And then further on from multiple incarnations as a spiritual being having a human experience.
Yep.
So, I mean, we can go super deep. That's a whole other subject.
Yeah.
We're on shadow work now.
Right. But I wanted to say that I did actually go to Black Wall Street, to that area, and got to see it when I was living in Wichita.
Yeah.
So I went to Tulsa with a friend and she knew where it was and she took
Right.
me there, and I was like, wow. And you could still see the steps. Well,
Yep.
okay. So let's leave that alone.
I mean, but no. I mean,
Yeah, you could
that's
still see
important, though, I feel like.
the steps in the house. So it was just crazy because it was just crazy. But let's get to the shadow work beat.
Got you.
So in the shadow work, we kind of got off on something else, but everything that we said is important. So we want to remind you of what we said on episode 112. This is 113. So we talked about why your inner shadow matters, the effects of ignoring your shadow, 8 benefits of shadow work, and how to start shadow work. So In order to know if shadow work is something for you, we gave you 3 prompts to see if they resonate with you, which could also help you decide if it's a practice you'd like to incorporate in your life. So if you're not sure, here's 3 prompts. Number 1, what emotions typically bring out the worst in you, and why do you think this happens? If that's something that you think about and that bothers you, shadow work is a practice that you should engage in. Number 2, what memories are you ashamed of? There's things that we're all ashamed of. Um, so if it's something you want to pursue, to so that you can think about that thing and not be ashamed of it anymore, shadow work is for you. And number 3, who do you envy and why? There's reasons why you envy a certain person, and only you know who that person is and why you envy that person. So that's those are 3 prompts that you can, that'll help you decide um, whether shadow work is for you or whether it's something you want to do. Um, we also told you that it requires a lot of inner work, but it's possible for you to do it successfully, even on your own. So, what does shadow work even mean? Inner work. What does inner work mean? It is the process of exploring and understanding one's inner world, including thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and subconscious patterns to foster self-awareness and personal growth. So here's how to do shadow work, no matter where you are right now. Decide if you'll seek therapy or do shadow work on your own. Practice spotting your inner shadow. We talked a little, those are the things that we talked about last week. So on the last show. So now we're starting we're adding to doing shadow work. So we're going to add a few things to that to continue from episode 112. So we've already shared 2 things. Now we're going to continue sharing with the shadow work. Right. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, for sure. So number 3 is think back to your childhood. Explore what parts of you may have been treated as bad or lesser when you were a child. Which emotions were you punished for having? Many children get told to get over their anger or sadness. As a result, those emotions get repressed. And we grow up believing they're bad and that we're bad for having them.
Yeah.
I think it's important for us to discuss certain aspects of ourselves that we felt, So you want to go first?
No, you go ahead and go.
So, I mean, this wasn't necessarily something I got from childhood. I feel like in a lot of ways I was able to express certain things. I mean, there are differences, but one thing that I remember very clearly from my past relationship that got weaponized against me was my expression of anger. Like, you do something to me, and then I show anger, and now I'm at fault for being angry. And it's like, wait a minute.
Gaslighting.
You did XYZ to me, yeah. You created the provocation for this emotion. And now because I'm expressing emotion, it's a bad thing. But you brought it, you created the environment for this anger. And now I'm expressing righteous anger. And that's the thing. That's the thing for me. Because anger has its place. Anger is an indicator of you feeling someone has caused an ought or what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they've caused something that caused a reaction that makes you feel like you have to protect yourself.
Yeah.
Which is natural, right?
Right.
Fight or flight. Or the other one that I can't remember the name of it. Immobility is the best one I can give you. But yeah, So anger was like, yo, you have an anger problem. No, but you keep doing things to me that bring out anger. And now because you don't like me expressing myself openly about how I feel about what you did, now my anger is a problem. But let's rewind the tape. Let's go on reverse. and view what you did to cause that reaction from me. And that goes into, so again, I mean, it's not necessarily the childhood. I'm more talking about, an adult relationship, but it goes back into like how we felt like certain emotions were not acceptable.
Yeah.
And you repress things that you have to fight for because it's easier to just succumb as opposed to continue to be vigilant and be like, you know what, this is something that is authentic and in integrity with me. I feel this deeply because of your actions. It's a reaction, a reaction.
Yeah.
Re means again. Action is something that you do to get a certain thing across. So it's a reaction. So you did this to me and I'm reacting. I'm acting again because of what was done to me.
Yeah.
And we have to honor and allow people to feel you've done something. And it may not, I mean, there's layers to this stuff, man. There's layers. Because, a person may have done something to you and you view it a certain way because of past trauma, and it can show up certain ways. But it's important to be able to discuss and be aware of, okay, so this happened, and it may be me projecting, which is something that we've talked about in this series. It may be a reaction to past trauma and not necessarily what you did. I just perceived it a certain way. So I mean, like, trauma is so layered, so layered. It's not like face value type stuff, and we just have to be super conscious of what we have experienced, how it feels to us deep down, and then like doing the work to come to a better place where you can point it out. Oh, that's the root. We talked about the root last time. Yeah. We talked about the root, finding the root of the problem as opposed to the symptoms.
Yeah.
Because anger a lot of times, or being triggered by certain actions, is not the root of the problem. It's a symptom of something that is pre-existing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's anyway, we can talk about the health industry or whatever, but we don't talk about emotions. We're talking about emotions right now. But yeah, like we become aware of certain things that trigger us because of stuff that we repress and push down.
Yeah.
And not aware of anymore. And it's important for us to just, again, be able to take that step back and do inventory for the emotions that you feel. Like, did this action really make me feel this angry? Or was it something I experienced before that this brought up? It dug it up.
Right.
It uncovered or discovered.
Yeah.
And you don't understand that that's the same word. Uncover and discover. Dis means un. So you're uncovering things that were buried.
Yeah.
To realize that, this makes me feel a certain way. So anyway, I'm officially stepping off my soapbox.
So Mark said a couple things here.
There's a lot of things down there. I see him.
And he's still talking.
Let's go.
So one of the things he said is, there he goes unpacking that junk again.
Gotta get rid of it. Gotta get it over my shoulders. I need to get it off my back.
And then he says, yes, we have a great Black Wall Street here too. I didn't know that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
in North
Yes. Yes.
Carolina,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
The
Yep.
one I went to, Mark, was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which I was born not too far from there, maybe about 90 miles from there, um, and in a small town. And then he also said, I thought Trigger was Lone Ranger's horse.
Well, I mean, it was.
And then he said, of course, Lone Ranger was probably angry at Tonto.
Wait a minute.
And-
That's a history lesson right there. So that was based off of what is his name? There was a black sheriff / ranger. I hate that. I can't
He
remember.
said Bass Reeves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Bass Reeves.
Bass. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was. So Bass was the Lone Ranger. Tonto was his Indian friend, but they switched the polarity.
That don't surprise me.
Not at all.
And wasn't he the first black cowboy?
No, he wasn't the first.
Okay.
Like, so I mean, wait a minute. Time out. Y'all gonna make me start unpacking terms. Like, so briefly, cowboy and cowgirl was actually a derogatory term for so-called black people who were the trainers of cows, and they were herding cows and stuff like that. And then it became a popular term and a good term when they put white people like Clint Eastwood and John Wayne, stuff like that, into place. So it made it look good, but it was actually originally a derogatory term for us.
Wow.
As so-called African American people. So anyway, again, don't get me started on history. I love history.
So Mark said it's where the term cowhands came from.
Yeah.
We usually tended to the horses.
Yes.
And about your soapbox, he said, seriously, great conversation. He said it's a wonderful soapbox. He's like history too.
On the sides.
So I'm gonna share shaming, something that I was made to
feel.
Yeah, but we didn't do that one yet.
No, that was next.
So, but growing up, something that I believe was bad to have is emotions. I mean, I was a very emotional kid, and so I cried a lot. I cried often. I got my feelings hurt a lot and easily. And I can't explain why. I've learned some things about myself that has helped me to understand why. And it's because I desired to hear, I love you. And I desired my love language is touch and dang it, I forgot what the other one was. But I did the other one that I had.
Words of encouragement or something along those lines.
Yeah, there is something like that.
Affirmations.
But, yeah. So mine I know is touch, but there's another one of those that's mine, but it's not the one that you just said. Yeah. So I wanted to be touched, and I felt like if I'm touched by getting a hug, is the main thing, or being told I love you. I thought that was love, and because I didn't get that, and it was because it wasn't passed down. That was hard for me, and that's something that I struggle with, and I struggled with it for many years, and I didn't understand until once I finally understood, it was because I desired this, and I understood that this was love, and I understood, so that's just something that I struggle with. I I still cry. I'm a human, but I don't let things get to me like I used to. I don't take things personal like I used to. I'll say not as many things at all. Uh,
Smart.
yeah. So I'm a whole lot better about that. And I understood along the way that in order for me to get what I wanted, I had to give it. So that's why I, was constantly saying I love you and constantly showing affection because I desired it. And I said, I'm not going to, let my kids, feel like I felt about this part of life. Um, anyway. And
Right.
so,
Feeling unwanted. Yeah.
yeah, because it was a tough thing. And like I said, it just wasn't, in the generations, that's just not part of what was happening. The, generations, was
They weren't
um,
taught to love.
right
They weren't
at
taught.
all.
To, they were taught to survive.
Yeah,
That was the
yeah,
main thing. Especially like if we're talking about chronologically, like it was taught. Like so, first off, I need to preface this with the fact that, and this may be controversial, and it's fine for me, but like so-called black people ruled the world before there was a European takeover, and they created what we call now America and Europe, and even Europe is based off of an African goddess named Europa. So we ran things for a long time, and now in this society, after like the Moorish empires uh, dissipated, I believe the last Europe Moorish empire was uh, brought down around 1496. I may be missing some some layers or whatever. But then there was there was already the advent of chattel slavery, and we can slavery goes deep because like we enslaved so-called Caucasian people before. But anyway, going back to what I started on is um, is the fact that like in that time after the last Moorish stronghold was broken down and dissipated, then chattel slavery for so-called black people was pushed hard. And in those times, when you have people that are here and they're trying to survive a very violent environment where you can lose your life over looking at a person the wrong way. The wrong way. How do you determine what's wrong? You know what I mean? But like we have that. So as those generations passed, they passed on the extra cautiousness, and it was more about survival than thriving in a lot of ways. And thriving means I can show you love, I can be vulnerable with you, and teaching your children love in an open and honest and authentic manner. Um, because when you're surviving, you don't want to show your child too much love because you don't want them to get sassy according to the terms or the societal culture that is going on in the South, especially, but even in the North, like there was that going on where if a so-called black person showed that they were confident, and there were those European or Caucasian aspects that wanted to keep those people down. You know what I mean? So if you show too much confidence, too much happiness, someone had an issue with that. It's like, being on punishment and then you laugh and the person has an issue with you laughing because you're supposed to be on punishment. You're supposed to be downtrodden. Yeah, same
I
thing.
know what you're talking about.
But that came from a certain place.
Yeah,
So it's just a tragedy. I mean, but the ultimate point is the ultimate point is we were taught to push ourselves down, to not heal, to not be aware of, or to not show love. Going back to your point, to not show love, because you showing love to your children may make them act in a way that may put them in danger. So it was in a way, some haphazardly, half cocked. I'll say it like that. Half cocked means of protecting your children at that time. I'm giving that to you, Mom. Like, and you said it already, that they were not taught how to love deeply.
Yeah.
They didn't have that framework to build from. So you used your situation and your desires and your love language to create a new paradigm.
Yeah.
And with this shadow work, like, that's how you build a new paradigm. That's how you break generational curses, by stepping into a new space, realizing what was and what you want, and then finding the ways to create a difference.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing here. So anyway, I'm sorry. I've been on it.
No, that's fine. I wasn't, I'm not the history person. I don't care about history. So to hear, that's, I know it was generational as far as in my family,
Right.
in our family,
Right.
but I didn't know it was generational. Hadn't thought about it as being generational as in culture, heritage. Huh?
In a historical sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
And I absolutely love history. Like,
Yeah, you're a history buff.
Yes, I am.
So the next part we're gonna share is avoid shaming or being ashamed of your shadow. Some people might say that your shadow longs for acceptance, but really, your shadow is you, and we all long to feel whole. So it is more that we long to feel integrated, whole, and complete in our lives. Embrace your shadow and have some compassion on yourself. Remember that it's not Remember that it's tough not to feel accepted, including or especially by yourself. So practice loving. You want to add something?
No, I'll switch my glasses.
Okay. So I didn't see you. So practice loving words of affirmation toward yourself, including your shadow. So here's some examples. Tell yourself, because we self-sabotage, self-bully.
Yes.
And so tell yourself to change the trajectory of of what I just said, self-sabotage and self-bullying. So few affirmations is: I trust in you, I believe in you, I'm glad that you're in my life. Yes, I'm glad that I'm in my life. um or I'm glad that
for your shadows.
Yeah.
You have to have your shadows in your life, because they show you your potential.
Yep. And so you are worthy of love. You are enough. You deserve to be happy. You have a lot to offer. So those are things that you can tell yourself um, to build up your confidence and to build up your courage and to change that trajectory from feeling hopeless and helpless to being strong, a strong shadow. And for our Facebook post, I saw that you saw it, but we're superheroes. We're pushing to be superheroes of ourselves. That's what we're doing. We're not staying in that shadow that's falling apart or just hovering over you. We want the shadow to take us into more productive levels and loving levels of life. And so that's what our focus is.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, you're tuning into, so we've all been shamed for something. I would
Yep.
imagine, I judge that we've all been shamed for something that is a natural aspect of ourselves. And then we Once we're ashamed for it, we press it down. We repress it or suppress it. Same basic term, different word. And so saying that I trust in you, like this shadow aspect of myself, the part of me that I press down to be acceptable, to be palatable by those outside of myself. I trust in you. I realize that you are an important aspect of myself. I believe in you. I believe that you are going to make me a better version of myself once I accept you and integrate that aspect of myself into me. I'm glad that you're in my life.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're in my life because you are an aspect of myself that gives me true power once I accept it.
Right.
And that's a huge thing, acceptance.
Yeah.
And compassion for yourself. You're worthy of love. The part of yourself that wants to be touched and hugged and told, I love you. You're worthy of that. That's what you need. So you're worthy of that.
Yeah.
You are enough. You are enough as who you are as you begin to grow. I mean, period. You're worthy of love, period.
Yep.
Point and period and the point. You're worthy of love, period. You are enough, period.
Yep.
You deserve to be happy. Like so many people walk around in this world miserable.
Yep.
Because they don't know how to integrate, those parts of themselves that we're told that you need to quiet that down to be acceptable in this space. But that full version of yourself is deserving of love and is enough. And you deserve to be happy. And you have a lot to offer. And when you're different, you got to think about this. Like, the ultimate goal of life is to evolve. You're not supposed to stay stuck in one place. There's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. You are in a constant state of perfecting if you are on the journey of healing. Perfecting means it's constant. There's no end to this journey. Perfection means that you crystallize yourself into a certain way of being. And you may have some situations in your life that this crystallized version of yourself does not fit.
Yeah.
Which means you have to develop another version of yourself or you just have to evolve. We get stuck. We get stuck in trying to be a certain thing and trying to put something across as a mask. But really, we're supposed to constantly evolve. The universe itself is constantly evolving. It's never crystallized. Yep. So, anyway, again, my soapbox.
You want to do the next part or you want me to do it?
Sure, I got it. All right, so number 5 is meditate to observe your triggers. Notice the triggers that cause emotional reactions within you. Then you can meditate on them. Or meditate means to give intentional attention to, but to just observe. So you can meditate upon them so you can step back and observe what's happening. Meditation is about observation and being aware and being the witness, as opposed to being the person who's acting. See the separation? Observe without being judgmental. When emotions come up, allow yourself to have them. So.
And that's so important because I know someone that didn't, allow their children to show emotions. And maybe that's because they didn't know how to handle, somebody being upset or crying or hurt. I don't know how to handle that. Right. In fact, I did hear those words. I don't know how to handle that. I think you need something else. And for example, I think they must be hungry. They crying, and that's because that person is not an emotional person or doesn't show emotions.
They weren't
Because
taught to.
I
Because they weren't taught to.
don't know about that.
Oh, okay.
Um, so let's go past that. I had to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Um, so you want to do the next part, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, I can do it. All right. So, and I often talk about journaling. So
That's
keep
why I
a
asked you if you want to do it.
right. Yeah. So keep a shadow journal. A shadow journal is a safe and practical way to express all sides of yourself. Did you hear that? A shadow journal is a safe and practical way to express all sides of yourself.
Yeah,
You're not repressing anything. You're allowing yourself to be whole. Whether it's pretty or it's ugly, you express
yeah,
it in a comfortable and safe way. You can let out your thoughts, both light and dark, using the written word or verbal word if you record it. Make it a daily practice to sit down and write in your journal. Do not censor yourself. Write whatever comes up without overthinking it. At first, what comes up may feel uncomfortable, but it's important to lean into it if you want your shadow self to feel heard. Man, how many people do you think want to express emotions and feel unheard? I know for sure I felt that. You know, I wanted to express emotions, and certain societal constraints or whatever made me feel like I couldn't speak my mind. And then so you repress parts of yourself to be accepted. And the world operates that way, unfortunately. So
and the what?
the world operates that way.
Yeah, yeah, and that's when we find ourselves not living up to the fullness of who we really are, because we're living up to societal norms,
Right.
or living up to somebody else's expectations. And so we can't be comfortable basically in our own skin
Yeah.
because we're trying to please other people.
Yep.
Uh, and so that makes life really difficult for us.
Yep.
Um,
Agreed.
so the journaling is very important. I mean, it really helps. And if you haven't done it, don't judge it. Try it and see if you like it. No, journaling really is helpful, and we talked it. So I'm not going to go into that, but we talked about it. Just make sure you date your journaling, and when you go back, then you'll see why we say journaling is important.
Yeah.
So, also, did you want to add something to that?
Now I'm actually ready to move to the next one.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So number 7 is express your inner shadow artistically. I know a lot about this. Art is a powerful way to let your shadow self express itself. It can be especially beneficial if journaling isn't the way you express yourself freely. Um, According to recent research, art therapy can can even be used to treat pre-verbal trauma. Pre-verbal trauma is traumatic experiences that occur before a child has developed the abilities to express themselves verbally or use language to process and understand their experiences. Allow yourself to feel all the emotions you need to feel when you're creating art, even if they're dark. Amen to that. Express express them while using the medium of your choice. This can be painting, sculpture, singing, digital art, music, or anything else you feel called to try. Don't be afraid to be spontaneous. Create what your inner self wants to create, no matter what it looks like. So, in essence, don't judge yourself. Find a constructive way to express your art. And if you pay attention to music or even paintings, a lot of art is therapy. I know for me, music is therapy for me. Writing is therapy for me. Music, moving is therapy for me. When I write a song talking about a specific situation, it's me processing this emotion in a constructive way to not like outwardly express it in a way that's destructive for someone else or for me. Me writing this song helps me express everything I want to in a way that's beautiful. So it's like taking them I can't remember who it was, and they said poetry is finding a way to express the mundane in a beautiful way. You know, trauma is mundane in the sense that we all experience it. But once you express it artistically, you create a paradigm that not only can you hear yourself, but you can also help others heal from your expression.
Yeah.
And so again, like the process of healing, it starts with self. And once you begin the process of healing yourself, you can give the testimony and be the example for someone
Yep.
else to heal themselves. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah. To guide others to healing. That's what
Yep.
it can do.
The support and heal. Yep.
Yep. So that's what the testimonies do is, guide you to the same healing. If you believe that the same healing that the person that shared their testimony with you, it
Right.
guides you to the same healing or better. But
Right.
that gives you hope because you've heard somebody say, I got through this, you can too. And this is what happened to me, or this is how it happened. So
Right.
then that helps me to believe, oh, well, it can happen for me too.
Right.
So,
Right.
which
Yep.
is so awesome. I love testimonies.
Yep. And healing is unique to the person that's going through the situation.
Yeah.
Like, your healing is not going to be the way. Your healing is not going to show up for me the way it showed up for you.
Yep.
In a sense, it's not exactly. It's going to be my healing through my
Yep.
trauma. Even though you gave me your particular story, then you giving me that story lets me know there's light on the other side of this tunnel.
Yep.
And then when my healing happens, it's going to look different for you and for anyone else that I give this testimony to. But it's the example that sets the stage for healing for other people.
Yep. Yep. So, number 8, start an inner dialogue. You can learn from your shadow by having an inner conversation with it. To do this, you can use a process similar to meditation. Ask your shadow some questions and wait for an answer. Keep an open mind, even if it feels weird. Take note of the answer and make sure that you're listening without judgment. So, I want to add something to this. When it says ask your shadow some questions and wait for an answer, um, don't think of that as a literal shadow. Just think of it as I'm speaking out verbally, asking this question out loud because I want to know the answer. And then just be quiet and listen. We've talked about that too, the importance of listening. So you're asking the question and then you get quiet and you listen. And what you hear will be the answer to the question that you asked. And that's because you asked it audibly, so the answer comes. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, shadow, what is, because that can lead into something else. So that's not what you're doing. You're just saying, okay, I don't understand why this is happening, this particular thing. What does this mean? And you asked it out loud. Now that you've asked it verbally, then you're quiet because you need to hear. If you're still talking, you can't hear. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. And a lot of the inner dialogue is talking to your inner child. A lot of the trauma that we've all experienced came from our childhood, as one of the points that we made earlier. So you're talking to your inner child. What is this trauma came from a certain action that came in my past, and now I'm reliving it in an older state. And so the inner dialogue is about, when you say shadow work just means those things that you repressed to be accepted
Yeah.
in whatever society or community that you're in. So the shadow that you're dealing with is your repressed feelings as you grew up. It may be something that you experienced at 2 years old that you repressed, and now it's become a problem as you've gotten older. So it's not like a shadow as in something evil or bad. It's
Right.
just something that you've repressed.
Yeah.
And that's important to understand. We're not, shadow work is not like dealing with demons or whatever, but I mean, that's another whole nother topic. But it's just dealing with parts of yourself that you repressed.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you
and
really go ahead. Sorry.
no, please, no.
So, and you really want to know and to understand, why this is happening or what this is about. So, keep an open mind, even if it feels weird, and take note of the answer and make sure that you're listening without judgment. So, you're asking the question and then you're quiet because you want to hear. And so, because you've asked the question, what comes to you will be the answer. So write it down, if you need to. Write it down and then dig deeper, if you need to. Okay, so I see this is the first thing that came to mind when I asked this question. So let me dig deeper about this if you don't get it, if you don't understand it. And so as you dig deeper and you ask more questions, okay, so I see, I've asked that question. This is the answer I got. I still don't understand what more needs to be done or what else needs to happen or, however that looks for you. But just know that the answer will come because you're desiring the answer and because you're seeking the answer and you're seeking it by speaking it audibly. Um, and then one of the things that I've already said on these shows is that, and I've said it a number of times lately, just in life, period, not just on this show, is that, we have two ears to hear and we can hear, you know, we just have to be quiet. Sometimes we do too much transmit. And so if we be quiet, we can receive the answers, to what we're looking for. So, or what we're desiring. So, we have shared quite a bit today to give you some tips on, how to do shadow work, how to start it, um, and deciding if it's for you, looking at your, childhood and things that happened in your childhood, and just encouraging you to do the inner work. It's important if you want to heal. If you don't want to heal, then of course it's not important. So we have been sharing this because we're on a healing journey and we want y'all to come with us. We don't like to see people hurting.
Right.
We don't like to experience it either. So that's why we're working so hard on ourselves,
Right.
giving this information to you, sharing it with you, to give you some hope and help,
Yeah.
because it's hope for us and it's helping us. Um, so you want to add something?
Yeah, I mean, it's also important, very important to know or realize that we all go through things that hurt. That's part of the universal, quote unquote, human journey. Or a spiritual being having a human experience. You're supposed to experience pain to grow, um, but there are tools to help you grow through what you go through. Like you told me,
Yeah. Yep.
there are tools to help you get there.
Yep.
You know, it's just important to to be conscious of what you're going through and realize that there are tools that can help you not get stuck
Yep.
where you are. So just do the work and follow our show. because we're gonna provide more tools. So
Yeah.
tune into the next one.
Yeah, because we're still going to be talking about shadow work. We have quite a bit of information we want to share. So that's it for today. We hope you have enjoyed the show. We hope you have gained some knowledge. Um, Sending you peace, sending you love. Until next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, be cool, be calm, be peaceful, and
And
loving.
love yourself.
Yeah.
And love yourself.
Take care and bye for now.